Okay, welcome back to our program. Well, these early season trials are really gold to try and to find winners in the first few weeks of the new season. And of course, with both Peter Rung and Andy Lung have left the training ranks, and Francis Loy's done particularly well with the pickups from both stables, and a real nice one in Smart Volatility, who indicated at the trials that he's going as well as ever.
Could be something pretty special, this horse, Darren. I really like this trial. He's the grey, about 5 runners from the on the far side there. He's just scooting through now in between runners, but he travelled really well throughout. This was a testing trial. They ran a second faster in this trial. I mean, there's some high quality horses in it. We had Speedy Amber Sky leading. Cerise Cherry was up there, and Beauty Sparkle. And Smart Volatility, I thought, in pretty easy sort of manner, was lying up with him. Now, we know he likes a bit further. His win last season when he set off the track all the day was a phenomenal performance. He's going to go high in the ratings. He's a good pickup for Francis Loy. I thought this was a good trial from Smart Volatility, and the horses around him are very speedy, so he performed
and decent enough too. I mean, Cerise Cherry ran second in the sprint last year. Amber Sky's a specialist over the 1,000, and Beauty Sparkle really was a revelation at the Valley at the end of last season too. So there is some strong horses around him there.
One of the sales horses, Yat Ding Win, was able to win a race early last season, and then there was a failure. But Brett, you liked his lead-up trial?
Yeah, well, I just think Yat Ding Win is a horse to follow. He's going to run on the opening day of the season, and we can have a look at a recent trial from him over 800 metres. I think you've got to take into consideration what's basically happened in his life. He came out and won over 1,000 metres, ran 56, and I thought ran a very good race. He beat Flame Hero. He got 12 points for it. Then the unfortunate scenario with his disqualification. So he now goes back to 52 points again. So he's basically a winner without penalty. He had those issues of blood in the trachea following that victory that we saw when he stepped up into Class 3. He's had time off, time to get over those. I think the way he's gone in this trial, he'll be winning on opening day. And as I said before, he copped 12 points for that win that he was disqualified in. That's how impressive it was. So he goes back to 52. He starts again. I think he's over the line almost.
Yep. And you'll hear from Ricky Yu a little later, and he bolsters your case, Brett. But you've got another one, haven't you?
Richard Gibson's horse, Skip Court, who had 4 starts last season.
Yeah, Skip Court. I think this was a nice trial from him. Richard Gibson, I think, has got a lot of nice horses this season that are ready to go fairly early, and I'm going to use this trial on a number of cases in this program. But firstly, to concentrate on Skip Court, who did his initial racing in Australia, broke his maiden status at Newcastle in country New South Wales. But I just like the way he's progressed. He's had a handful of starts last season. He's got 5-point relief in the off-season, and he'll run in a 1,400 metre race on Sunday. I didn't think it was overly strong, and the way he performed in that trial, I'm going to give him a lot of respect.
Yes, okay, he starts the season off 57,
yes,
having arrived here off a mark of 66 last season. Now, looking at some horses to follow, we're all going to pick out a couple from what we basically saw last season and who we thought could get off the mark quite early. But you're reverting to a recent trial as well with one of your horses to follow, Brett?
Yeah, I'm going to make 2 young horses the horses to follow, Darren. Firstly, a horse by the name of The Rising Star. I've been watching this horse for quite some time. He's had a very solid prep. His first trial was back in May. He had 4 trials last season and obviously didn't race. And he's had 1 trial this season. I just like the way that he's progressed. I think when he is asked to sprint and produce his turn of foot, there will be a decent turn of foot by The Rising Star, who's with Manfred Mann. He's a 4-year-old by Thorne Park, and I think Manfred's been quite patient with him, giving him a lot of time to learn about racing, and I've seen some noticeable improvement in the last 2 or 3 months. I don't know when he's going to run, but I'm very keen to see him. And the other one is Hey Hey. Now, you guys spoke about him before. I thought his debut run last season was terrific. That middle part of the track over the 1,000's not the place to be, as we know. Well Fit went on to beat Gold Addiction, I think, in this race. But Hey Hey, I just like the way he kept to the wire. I think he's come on since this as well. We saw that trial before. He looks big, he looks strong. And I think he's another horse that's, off 52 or 53 that is going to make his way up the ladder.
Yeah, so we'll watch out for Hey Hey. That footage was from the 1st of July. And Clint, we did see a little bit of Lucky Double 8 in a trial earlier on in the program, but this was one that really did go well, didn't he, late last season?
He had a couple of runs, and I don't think Casper fans necessarily had him hard tuned. This was a terrific performance. He lost his position on the turn, got well back at his first run in the valley, and really flew home late. I think he's on a mark of 91. I think he can take the next step, and he was formerly known as Australia, where he raced in Australia, and I think he won 2 out of 3, beating a narrow margin in the other one. He had progressive form there. He's had a couple of runs now, a bit of a break. He's going to come back. I think he's a horse that'll get into triple figures quickly, and potentially, if he can continue to progress, might head up to sort of, be one of our emerging sprinters.
Now, another horse you seem to be pretty loyal to late last season, and it seemed as though he was genuinely improving with his racing, particularly in some of those slow tempo events, Ambassadorship.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with this guy. I mean, this was an enormous performance. You don't see many horses win when a jockey takes off 600, 700, 800 metres out. I think it was about 700 metres from home. Tommy Berry got going because they were crawling, but he had to sustain a long run. And just here you thought, well, he might be feeling the pinch, but he actually drew away, I think, from the field. He might not have beat a great deal, but it was a manner in which he did it. But the reason why I think he can get up to about 80 to possibly 90 in the ratings is that he stays 2,000, 2,200 metres, so there's going to be a lot of options for him. I see him in a very similar vein to Travel Brand last season. I think this horse could win over a mile, but he'll just continue to win races as they step him up in trip. He stays. We know we don't have much depth in those ranks. So 2,000 plus Ambassadorship, I think he'll win at least 3 races this season, if not more.
Okay, so far we've got the Rising Star, Hey Hey, Lucky 88 and Ambassadorship, and I'm going to go with one of John Moore's, who I couldn't believe how impressive this was at his only start here in Hong Kong. Able Friend, I think from his trials, from what we were hearing, it seemed as though he'd probably need the run first up, and this is what he did to them. Able Friend, he got a little bit close here with Master Sommelier looming, and then he immediately dropped it and just pulled away again. I mean, look at the margin back to the other horses.
They've had some pretty good horses. Mr. Lee has it, Cornelius Lee, I think it is, who owns it. Yeah.
Some fantastic horses over the years, and if that's sort of gone in underdone, and that's what it's done on debut, it's exciting. It could be a future group horse.
Yeah, I remember on the day I was, like yourself, overwhelmed by the turn of acceleration that he showed. Apparently not fully fit.
And quite often in these 1,000-metre races, we saw a Griffin late last season, Luger, at his only start, come down the middle part of the course and close off well into third, and then he backed up within a fortnight. Might have even been a quicker turnaround here from the 1,000 metres to the 1,400 metres, and Luger was brought with a well-timed run, and that was a pretty soft win there at the end. It just looks as though it's going to be one of these youngsters from the John Size yard that's going to go through and knock up a few more wins. Interesting too, Douglas White nominated that as one of the horses to keep an eye on, so pretty happy to hear that.
Yeah, well, it's all interesting to hear what our predictions are and thoughts are for future winners. I wonder what the trainers are thinking now.
Yeah, well, Clint took to the microphone with the bulk of the Hong Kong trainers, and here's what they like.
Yeah, Clint, you don't quite know how they're going to go. I got 1 or 2 nice transfer horses. And as you know, last night, night before last, I said to you maybe a horse called like Super Team. I think he's a nice type of horse. I don't think he's a Class 5 horse. And, I'm just hoping that, we found 1 or 2 things, problems with him, and we fixed it. And, hopefully that he can kick up.
Have you managed to put a little bit of weight on him? A lot of the ones that you join your yard, you seem to muscle them up well.
Yeah, he's put on 30 pounds, 35 pounds, so he's muscled up, and that. I think he must really run in about 2.5 weeks' time, and then we'll have to, if he can string 1 or 2 together.
I think I'll put that horse called Yachting win in the first meeting, that Class 4,000 that he previously he won before.
He was lightly raced last term, but he did a good job.
Yeah, he only had a couple of runs last start, but they qualifies his race. This is winner, so I hope that I can get it back in this time.
Well, I haven't got much left. Come through the summer, and my team has shrunk a little bit. I think the horse in batch 2 today, Genki Twins, I think I'm looking forward to see him win another two races. If things go well, 3 races, and I think he's a potential horse who will end up in Class 1 and be competitive.
He really did a good job for you last year, didn't he? I mean, he seemed to get better and better as the season went on.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought he was a nice horse, and actually at one stage thought we would get him into the Derby. But he struggled a bit when he first came here, also with the temperament, but all is in order, and if he's healthy and getting through his first few races, we should see a better horse in him.
Yeah, I think a horse that's called Our Marcus. He's gone on quite a bit in the ratings, so it's quite a nice horse, that, and Yeah.
He didn't do much last season. I mean, was he only sparingly raced?
Yes. Well, they had it with Almond Lee. I think he only raced 3 times, but the horse has a a very strong mouth. He's learning how to relax now, and towards the end of last season, I trialed it in the short team, and he worked up quite well. Yeah.
I think boy oh boy, I think he's a star. After I put the blinkers on him, he's just a great improvement. And he's still a baby. He got a lot of room to improve. He still, do few things wrong. Yeah, if he's getting more mature this year, I think he can be a nice horse.
I think I like a Crying Kid, maybe win them, and the class final 20. I think it goes well. Yeah.
But all in all, you're happy with the way the stable's going, and you've taken the transition well?
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah.
I think the best chance early in the season is a horse called Holmes Legend. He'll be ready to run on the 3rd meeting here. He'll probably only run 1400 first up, but once he gets a mile and a little bit further, I think he's got plenty of points in hand.
Look, I think Bundle of Joy was really consistent last year, Clint, and he's a professional sort of racehorse who puts himself in a good spot, and hopefully he's got a little bit more rating in hand.
Clint, probably lucky 88. Had a couple of runs last season. Took my time with him, and he had 2 runs, and they were both encouragingly nice, And you just got to hope that into his 4-year-old season, he should be a nice horse. Sort of, I'll be targeting like a classic mile with him. I think he's that type of horse that will just progress from sprinting into a nice miler.
Well, the horse I think that's come back healthy and strong is one that's had a long spell, and that's a real specialist. He's a very high rating horse, but we expected him to do a little bit more before he stopped racing. He stopped racing because of a heart irregularity. He's had about 5 or 6 months rest. He's come back and started work, and he looks fantastic. He wouldn't run until the 1st of October, but I think he's coming up quite nicely. I'm pretty happy with him.
Yeah, unfortunately, Real Specialist had his fair share of issues. I think I made him a horse to follow last year and didn't even get to see him run.
That can happen, unfortunately. But yeah, let's hope he comes back
well, we had a bit
than
of
ever.
success as well last year, talking to some of the leading trainers there. So let's hope that some of those selections from the various trainers will do well. I'm sure they will.
I think one Paul O'Sullivan nominated there, Holmes Legend. Boy, he showed some ability late last season.
Yeah, some of his runs from a long way back in the field were outstanding, weren't they?
Well, it's this part of the program now. We're getting pretty close to the end, but we're going to put it on both you boys for some predictions coming up for the season. And it's probably only right, Brett, that you go first. Now, you can only go for about 30 seconds and the clock's ticking.
Okay.
Giddy up.
Right, okay. Predictions for the season. Oh, the clock is ticking, so I better hurry up. Richard Gibson, I think, will train plenty of winners early on in the season. I mentioned Skip Court earlier. There's a number of horses that he's got ready to go earlier on in the season, so I think he is worth following. Sterling City and Bobo Dragon, for me, will emerge as Hong Kong's best sprinters. I've had a lot of time for Sterling City. His stuff last season outstanding, and Bobo Dragon looks a star.
5.
Has Brett Preble fulfilled his last season, full season contract? Yes, is my answer.
Geez, you just beat the clock there too.
Just got in.
Under
Okay,
pressure.
so...
You're going to struggle. I think you've got 4.
I've got 4.
Go.
All right, we're ready to go. We're ready now. Okay, my first is that I think Zach Burton will win the premiership this year. I think Douglas White and him will battle it out, but I think Zach Burton, with the support that I think he's going to get, he'll overrun Douglas White. I think Casper Founds and John Size will go 1-2 in the Trainers' Championship as well. I think they'll be fighting it out. It will be a tight tussle, but they might be 1-2. I think Hong Kong will win all 4 races in the international races in December. The Vase with Willie Cazales is the tricky one. And then I think Designs on Rome might take out the BMW Derby. So those are my 4 predictions for the season.
Wow, very early crow for the internationals in December.
It's hard, but I thought we've got good strength in. Ironically, the sprint might be where we're weakest. I think the mile, the cup distance, and potentially that we're dominant in Willie Cazales in the Vase. We're okay, but we've struggled in the past. But we've got a couple of sprinters like Brett said coming through, so I think we'll win all 4. Never been done before.
No, that's right. This is our first show covered for the pre-season, but of course we've got Racing to Win coming up tomorrow night at all of the regular schedules, previewing the 10 races at Sha Tin. I believe the first is on at 1 o'clock, and the main race, the Chief Executives Cup, will be run as race 3. Anyhow, we've enjoyed bringing you this first program, and we'll look forward to joining you again tomorrow night.
Absolutely. Good night.
Good night.